Today we're going to make Tarta de Santiago, a fantastic Spanish cake that is naturally gluten-free, made from eggs, almonds, sugar, and a little bit of orange and lemon zest. You're going to love this cake. Welcome back. So today I'm making a recipe for all of you gluten-free folks. And this is not a modern recipe. This is a really old recipe that just happens to be flour, wheat free. It comes from Claudia Rodin's wonderful book, The Food of Spain. It's a Spanish recipe, I believe Catalan to be specific, and it comes from the almond growing regions in Spain, where they used to make flour meal from their almonds. It's a super simple cake and it could not be better. All you're going to need is almonds, eggs separated, and sugar. Now, I don't buy superfine sugar, but I like to use it in this recipe, so I make my own. I'll just put regular granular sugar in my blender and blend it for a few seconds. I don't want to blend it so much that I make powdered sugar because the ratios are different and it won't measure out properly. But just a few seconds in my blender and I have superfine sugar. And then the flavoring is the zest of 1 orange, 1 lemon, and a couple drops of almond extract. Could not be easier. Oh, and I throw in a pinch of salt. This is a 2-step recipe. We're going to beat the sugar and egg yolks until they're pale and nice and thick. And then we're going to beat our egg whites separately. Add the flavorings, fold the two together, put them in our pan, bake them. It's so simple. This cake comes together in just minutes. I'm going to place my egg yolks in the bowl of my mixer for just a few minutes to get them nice and thick. While my egg yolks are beating, I'm going to go ahead and zest my orange and my lemon. Once your yolks are nice and thick, go ahead and add in the almond flour. Now this mixture is really thick. You can make this cake by hand. All you need is a nice whisk and a bowl. It does get really thick and it starts to feel like it's bogging down and something is going wrong just because those egg yolks are so gooey and the almond flour is so thick. But you're on the right track. It's just a really stiff batter, so persevere. Add in your zest and a couple drops of almond extract. As you can see, this is a really thick batter, and it feels like at this point you've done something wrong. You have not. Persevere. We're going to set that aside and whip up our egg whites. I could clean out the bowl to my standing mixer and whip my egg whites in here, and that's totally fine to do. Or I could just whip them by hand, which I tend to do anyway. So if you do use the same bowl and whip your egg whites after your yolks, make sure that you clean them with really hot soapy water. A trace of oil from those egg yolks will prevent your whites from whipping up. We're going to add our egg whites into that in batches. So the first few egg whites are going to go into this really thick, sticky batter, and they're going to deflate, which is why we don't want to add all of our egg whites at the same time and create this big slippery goo that nothing would integrate in together. So once these become nice and like medium firm peaks, we're going to add them in slowly. As you can see, it takes me about as long to whip the whites by hand as it does the mixer to whip the yolks and the sugar. So I just do it in 2 bowls just because it makes the cake go so much faster. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to integrate maybe 1/4 of my egg whites. after the first addition of egg whites, go ahead and mix in the rest of them, folding them in by hand. I use the standing mixer on the first set just to loosen everything up. When the whites are about 80% incorporated, go ahead and add in the next batch. And continue this until you get them added in all 4 additions. Once all of the pockets of egg whites have been incorporated, go ahead and pour it in your pan. Place the pan in the oven for 40 minutes. Your cake is done when a toothpick inserted into the middle comes out clean. Some of you were laughing about my pot holders. They're a little ratty, but I love them. Anyway, to serve the cake, run a knife around the perimeter. Now, this is a cheesecake pan, which I love for cakes because the bottom is removable. So it's really handy when you want to serve a cake without having to invert it and then right it again. Now, traditionally, this cake is decorated with the mark of the cross of the Order of Santiago, which is a cross that's shaped like this. You can make your own diagram or you can just leave it off totally. I love this kind of thing, and it's beautiful, and it's also very symbolic. Throughout Spain you'll find this cake, and this is the traditional shape. So traditionally the cake is frosted with just powdered sugar. Now, I didn't powder this. This is just some more of the superfine sugar that I used in the making of the cake, but it works just as well. So once you have a fine dusting, this is kind of the tricky part, because if you lift the paper up, the sugar will clump. So you got to remove it very carefully. Ow! That wasn't super good. The ones you make that you keep at home are always beautiful. The ones that you're taking somewhere, like this one, don't look so beautiful. But you get the idea, and it is the most fantastic almond cake you can imagine. Now, Jack and I picked blackberries this morning, so I'm going to go ahead and fill the rim of this plate with fresh local blackberries. Have it, a beautiful Tarta de Santiago. Now that is it. This entire process took me about 10 minutes. It's a super fast, really straightforward cake, and the best part is it's as delicious on day 2 and 3 as it was the day you made it. It just holds beautifully. So enjoy this cake. I know I love it. It's one of my favorites. It just happens to be gluten-free. So whether or not you eat gluten is totally irrelevant for this cake. You will love it. If you've enjoyed this recipe, please help support the channel and give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it, and it really helps us creators. So thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time.